Tying up another really quick and easy hopper pattern today. If you've been following the channel and you've seen that I have last few weeks done a number of really easy hopper patterns, the mini flopper as well as the Mr. Peanut, a couple of them. This is the GFA Hopper. Excellent fly. There's a number of different videos on how people tie this out there. I recommend, if you're interested, go look at some of those. You might find some of their techniques you like a little bit better. But it's a straightforward, easy hopper pattern to tie. A great one for the 2 mil foam, and you can vary this up with all kinds of different colors and combinations, and just let your imagination go wild with it. That's the GFA Hopper. I'll get started tying. I'm going to start the GFA Hopper with my hook and the vise. This is a Mustad 9672, number 6. I'm going to go ahead and debarb the hook. I'm going to attach my thread. For thread, I'm using a 140 Denier UTC in a brown. Whatever the color that you're going to tie this fly in, I think is what you want to end up kind of matching the thread with. I'm going to start right behind the eye of the hook, advance my thread all the way down to the end of the shank. The underbody for the GFA Hopper is made from Peacock Herl. I can imagine you could do some dubbing or even some sort of a yarn or chenille if you wanted to. I've got about 6 or 7 hurls here. I'm going to pull the delicate tips off here, tie these in with those extending into the body. They don't have to go fully into the body, but I just want to go up into the body a little bit just to secure them a little bit better. I'm going to advance my thread back up to right behind the eye of the hook. I do want my thread just right here behind the eye of the hook. Now I'm going to apply this hurl, and I'm just going to wrap this in so each wraps pretty much right in front of the other one. It's just going to give me a nice bushy underbody. And actually our foam is going to get glued down to this hurl, but that hurl gives lots of surface area for the CA glue or Zap-A-Gap to adhere to and thus bind in the foam. And like I said, you do want to be pretty much right up behind the eye of the hook here, as you'll see in just a little bit. So with that secured, I'm now going to tie in my foam. The foam is just a 2 mil foam. I'm using a dark brown. The width of it is generally just a little bit more than the gap of the hook. And the length I'm going to tie in is about twice the length of the hook. If you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can put a slight taper on the end here. You could also even use some of the Chernobyl ant body cutters from River Road Creations to have a nice rounded backside if that's what you want. It's up to you. I'm going to tie this in here up behind the eye of the hook, but I want this to extend past the bend of the hook, maybe about 1/4 to 1/2 a shank length, maybe. How about 1/4 to 1/3? So maybe about 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, something like that. I'm going to tie this foam in, a couple of loose wraps just to collect it and pull down, and then a few more wraps to really secure that in so I don't end up cutting through it. Now this is where the Zap-A-Gap comes in. I'm using some Gorilla Glue. This is just your regular CA glue or cyanoacrylate glue, Zap-A-Gap, same thing. I'm going to take just a little bit and I'm going to just put it right on top of that hurl. I don't want to drench this, otherwise you're going to have CA glue all over your fingers. I'm going to reach with my thread rearward and then put in another segment, securing that down, and the remaining space from here to the back I'm dividing into 3 even segments. Might take a little bit of practice to get those down. Your last one is generally going to be just over the point of the hook, like that. Bringing your thread across the top to each of those segments, you're going to come back up to right behind the very first segment right there. This is where we're going to tie in our wing. You can use elk hair is often used for these as a wing. I'm using some deer hair. It's up to you. If I'm tying these in smaller sizes, I like the elk hair better, but the elk hair kind of turns out usually fine. You can get dark elk body hair, but the elk hair, the hair itself tends to be a little bit finer. So this large of a hook, I'd like to go with the deer hair. I'm going to tie this in. I want the tips. I'm going to restack those. Pardon my banging on the table. There we go. That's a lot better. I think I had a little bit of fluff in there that was impeding its stacking. I want the tips to be just shy of the end of the body here. So I'm going to bring this out and I'm going to see where my tie-in spot is right here. I'm actually going to cut the hair a little bit in front of that. So I'll put my fingers right about where my tie-in spot is. And I will cut just in front of that, like this. So when I wrap down, I'm just grabbing 1/16 of an inch of the butt ends of that hair and just wrapping all that down. There we go. Now I'm going to take a little bit of CA glue here and put it right on this foam, right in there. Because now we're going to fold that foam over right here and back, and I'm going to pull that in. That makes the head. Now this is why I wanted you to be right here behind the eye of the hook, because this was where we're securing everything in, and when you fold this back, it opens up the eye to very easily tie that onto your tippet. Trim that excess foam off there. Then we're going to put a hot spot on here. I got just a little strip of orange. It's maybe about half the width of the foam body, and I'm just going to place that on top here. 3 or 4 wraps, and then cut this about the same length as the front, so I just have a little bit of a hot spot. And you can do that hot spot whatever color you want. That could be white, that could be yellow. You're going to find your different lighting conditions. You're going to want different ones. So I've got some rubber legs here. This one is probably about 2.5 times the length of the body. That's fine. I'm going to double that over. And I'm going to then tie that in. And in this case, I'm going to tie this in on your side, and I want the front legs to be a little bit shorter than the back legs. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to tie it right in the center. 2 to 3 collecting wraps to bring those in. And I'm doing it on your side so you can see this. Those 2 wraps that I put in aren't that tight, because what I want to do is take that top leg here, whichever one that is. There we go. That's what I was afraid of. I want to take this top leg here And I'm just going to bring this up over to the other side. Nope, I didn't get that top leg, did I? Oh, there, now I do. That's the top leg. I want to pull that up and bring it over to the other side under those thread wraps. Now you can pull the thread or the rubber leg to the rearward and shorten up those front legs if you want. And then I'm going to put a couple of tight wraps in here just to collect that down, hold it, and I'm going to put a 3 or 4 turn whip finish in right on those thread wraps around the body, and that will finish off the fly. Minus, if you want, your legs, it's up to you. You know, if you want these to be a little shorter, a little longer, that's up to you. These, I'm going to trim these the length of the body back here so they're longer than the ones in front. You can even have them even longer than that if you want. It's up to you. Then I'm going to take some head cement. Remember, we have CA glue holding the foam down to the Peacock Herl, but I'm going to take some head cement and soak down these thread wraps behind the eye, around the middle, around those rubber legs. That will soak down into those thread wraps and secure that. It's just going to make it more durable and help this little GFA hopper to last a little bit longer. So there you have it. That is it. That is the GFA hopper, a straightforward little hopper pattern. Fun use of some of that excess 2 mil foam you got sitting around that you don't tie up enough with. And it's a good trout fly, but I think it would be also an excellent smallmouth and panfish fly. Lots of different color variations. Let your imagination go wild. That is the GFA hopper. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned at least a new pattern, if not a new technique, maybe a tip or trick here and there. If you have any questions about this fly or any of the techniques used in constructing this pattern, please leave them in the comments section down below. If you go to the trouble to ask a question, I'll go to the trouble to answer it. If you'd like to help dressed irons, please share this video with your friends and anybody you think that might enjoy this pattern. Until next time, remember, it's fly tying. If you're not having fun, then you're doing it wrong.